Welcome to For Formula One's Sake, the hot mess of F1 podcasts.
Is that about Terry or me?
I feel sick, Phil.
Welcome to For Formula One's Sake, puking into our helmets since 2015.
It's like a fishbowl.
I don't know though. You say that, but it feels a lot better. I mean, better out than in, they say. I just feel better.
Welcome to For Formula One's Sake. Due to someone else's fuck up, each section will be only 19 minutes long today.
It should be 18 minutes. 18 minutes because it was 18 laps.
I thought I would just try to remember a number from memory. That's not my strong point, and I fucked up.
You are Pirelli, and I claim my £5.
Welcome to For Formula One's Sake. We won the championship when no one else was watching.
I think some people were watching.
Nobody was watching the sprint race.
I watched the sprint race.
No, you didn't, Phil.
Oh, sorry.
I didn't.
Welcome to For Formula One's Sake, the inevitable decline of a once great force.
Is this us again, or?
I mean, yes, but it's a double meaning.
Because it's both of us.
It's both of us and Lewis Hamilton.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Poor Lewis.
Welcome to For Formula One's Sake, the podcast F1 deserves. I'm Drew Stearne, and today we're bringing you the very essence of the Qatar Grand Prix. Yes, over the next hour or so, you will get uncomfortably hot, dizzy, and you'll likely be violently ill by the end. No other podcast gets you so close to F1 reality. If you can last that long, we'll discuss the brouhaha of Doha, touching on Max Verstappen's inevitable championship win, Sergio Perez's inevitable clusterfuck, and the two Mercedes drivers crashing into each other like it was Barcelona 20 whenever it was. Plus all sorts of other nuggets that may or may not have anything to do with racing. That's all to come. Joining me is a man who is leaving the country. It's Phill Tromans.
Hello. I have not been abroad, I reckon, in at least 2 years, possibly 3. But that changes this month because I'm going abroad not once, but twice.
Where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you
Tell
going?
where you
Straight
going?
after this recording, which we're doing it earlier than normal because of my travel itinerary, I am driving to Heathrow Airport, and I shall be going to Germany.
That's where I am.
Ooh.
Yeah, but the other end of Germany.
Which end?
Munich end.
Oh.
And do you know how long I'm there for? I fly out at 7 tomorrow morning, and I fly back at 6 that same evening. So it's going to be quite a short trip.
Wait,
One of them.
If you're flying at 7 tomorrow morning, why are you driving to Heathrow on Monday afternoon?
Because the flight is at 7 in the morning, so I need to be there at like 5 in the morning, and Heathrow's a bit of a drive away. So I'm getting a hotel there the night before.
Oh,
I could, or I could just get a hotel there the night before that somebody else is paying for.
You're very fancy. Oh, is it a work thing then?
Yeah, it's a work thing. No, I'm
Why
just
are you
going to
going-
Munich for the day for fun to drive a Ford Transit van.
Okay, yeah, now I realise that, yeah, you wouldn't be doing a holiday for 12 hours.
Much as I like Munich, it's one of my favourite German cities. Yeah,
Fuck
that would be
you.
a little bit silly. But then I come back, and then I'm going on holiday. First foreign holiday in 4
Where are you
years. Madeira.
Ooh. Ah.
Home of
She
cake.
She went of her own accord. But also, Phil, if I may, and I can't remember, did we mention this in the last podcast, but you look a little bit different.
Oh, we didn't, because you haven't seen me since the last podcast.
You
And I
look a
don't
little bit
think we
different.
mentioned it on air of what was happening. No.
Would you like to tell the listeners why you look different to me?
Yes, I've had a sex change.
You're now a man.
I've had my hair cut, which is going to mean absolutely nothing to most people because they never normally see me, but I had quite long hair up until a week ago, and now I've had most of it chopped off.
Let's just say Phil has been looking like a hippie for the last 2 years.
What?
And the second he cuts his hair, he gets a job in Munich.
I mean, you say hippie, I say, Thor, maybe. Oh, there's a wasp in my room.
John Thor.
John Thor. There's genuinely a wasp in my room. I'm just going to open the window.
There's a spider.
Okay.
There's a scary spider in my bathroom.
I don't care about spiders. Wasps. I got stung by a wasp this week. Fucking wankers. Anyway,
Oh, man.
back
No,
in a
there
minute.
was a
Sorry, 1 second.
It's fine. A scary spider just came out of my washing, and it scared me enough that I've just put it under a glass. I hope it's still there when I get back.
I feel like last time I was on the podcast you were talking about spiders as well, except that was one on the train.
Oh my god, you're right! Oh my god, Berlin is littered with spiders. That's 2. Two in 4 weeks.
What is Phil doing to that wasp? What was that, Phil?
That's me getting rid of the
That
wasp.
sounded-
How do you get rid of
What was
wasps?
the loudest thing?
Was it a one-man band? Did he have a drum on his back?
Did he fly through your cymbals? I mean, what was it?
Sorry, I was putting my hand through the blinds, which are down, just to try and open the window and shoo it out.
I'm not surprised they're down if you touch them like that.
Are the blinds inside your microphone?
Yes.
That's what it sounded like. Anyway, and beside him is a man who is soon to leave the country. It's Terry Saunders.
I'm going on a holiday.
Wow. You're not coming to Madeira, are you?
No, but I've just booked the flights today, and I am flying via Munich.
Oh, wow. You should come on the Ford Transit Custom launch.
I would love to, but instead, I will be going to, wait for it, Miami.
Oh, Bienvenido in Miami.
Yeah, and I just thought, there's an American Grand Prix coming up. I wonder if I'm in Miami for that. And I
Are
realised
you going to be at the Dolphin Stadium going, guys, where are you?
Grand Prix was in May, apparently. No, I'm flying out with my partner to meet her family. Nothing huge to
that
worry
sounds
about.
serious.
It does, doesn't it? So, yeah.
Very exciting. You'll have to report live. Not live. That would be way too logistically challenging. You'll have to report from Miami and tell us what it's like ahead of next year's Miami Grand Prix.
Well, ironically, I think I'm flying out on the day of the Texas Grand Prix. So, as ever, FF1S, journalistic integrity, straight up there.
As an aside, to maybe or maybe not keep in, that means that our US Grand Prix is going to be really difficult to do because both of us will be out of the country.
I'm up for
our
it.
respective countries.
That'd be Drew and Ollie then.
God.
Let's get Chica in for one, Drew and Ollie, and we'll just find out
See what
that it's
happens.
me and Phil holding this podcast back.
Do it old school, just throw in a repeat of a previous year
that's
and
a
see if
good
anyone
idea.
notices.
We do that quite often, to be fair.
You've caught me out once or twice in the past with that.
Drew, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. What have
Hello.
you been?
No,
what have you been doing? Where are you? Where are you going? You must be going somewhere, surely.
Well, yeah, I am. I'm also going on a holiday in a couple of weeks. I'm going to Morocco.
Oh.
I actually booked it about a week before the earthquake hit, but it all seems to be under control now. So I'm looking forward to heading back there. But yeah, that will be. Yeah, I'm looking forward to a bit of a break.
They best to put it all together before you turn up because you've got standards.
So wait a minute, we're all going away to somewhere that begins with an M. Think about it.
I'm going to two places that begin with an M.
Munich,
Yeah,
wherever you
Munich,
said,
Madeira.
Miami,
Morocco.
Morocco.
Madeira.
Where are you going in
Miami.
Morocco?
Marrakesh.
Oh, it works in so many ways. What does this mean? What does it mean?
I'll be listening to Eminem while eating M&Ms
I'll be meeting my partner's mother.
What's her name?
and enjoying her food. Going,
Don't know.
mmm.
Brilliant. That's all worked out tremendously. What a segment.
Here comes Listener's Corner, which has been brought 80 centimetres closer for this episode, and if you go over that line, then we will fuck you up. There is much talk about Qatar, but let's start with the tyres. It was like olden times in Indianapolis, and Pirelli warned that the tyres might explode if they do more than 18 laps, so everyone had to pit more often. Was that a good thing? Joshua Jake Stewart says, drivers saying it was nice to drive flat out all race for a change? Shouldn't they be doing that normally? I can't stand tyre management. Dixon Cox says, they've just resurfaced my road too, but you don't see me having to change my tyres every 20 minutes, do you? Ryan Chapman says, more pit stops do not make a better race. Same results, just more confusion about where the drivers really are during the race. Jamal Maklouf says, imagine what a mandatory 3-stop race would be like at a good circuit.
Right.
Discuss.
So before we talk about the race, can I talk about some personal issues? Because this is where I air my grievances.
Sure.
My partner, who I'm going to see her family in Miami, we've known each other for a couple of years, but we've been going out probably for a few months, let's say, maybe a bit more. And she sat and watched the race with me on Sunday. It's the first time she's done that.
Ooh.
She
what,
doesn't with you or just a race generally?
Her dad, who I'm going to meet, likes Formula One. That's a good way to get in. I'm happy about that, I can tell you. Oh, God, when there's awkward silences, I can just bring up, like...
Oh, Pierluigi Martini.
Well, no, Juan Pablo Montoya, because their family surname is also Montoya. So,
This works out brilliantly.
They're from Colombia, so I just pretend I like Montoya and hope they never listen to any of my old podcasts.
Lovely to meet you. Do you know who I like? Fat drivers.
Yeah. Oh, he broke his arm, didn't he? So the problem I had is that we had a busy weekend, and I didn't watch the sprint race live, and I hadn't really kept up with any news, and I didn't know about this tyres thing. So then we're watching the race, and she's saying, "Oh, so what's happening?" And I'm like, "Oh, like pit stops go, they have a certain thing." And then she said, "Oh, but the commentator just said they've got to stop within 2 laps." And I was like, "Oh, no, they don't have to. They always say this thing, that this is how long they think the tyres are going to last." And I was getting quite kind of mansplaining, patronising. And then I realised that something was wrong because this race was really fucking confusing. And she was like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "Do you know what? I don't know." And she's like, "I thought you did a podcast for like 20 years. I'm like, "I do." I haven't got a fucking clue what's going on.
You can't look away for a minute in this sport. You look away for a second and they'll change the rules or bring in a new weird rule because one of the teams involved in sorting out the tyres hasn't done their homework properly or something. Because this was all caused by them resurfacing the track, apparently with like skateboard grip tape or something, it would seem. So now the tyres will...
It looked slick. It looked wet.
It did.
The surface, it looked so shiny, it looked dodgy.
But presumably the exact opposite was the problem, in that it was so grippy that it tore the tyres apart. I don't know how it works. I don't know how physics work. But the tyres wouldn't last. And it was essentially... it was Indianapolis 2005 all over again.
New tracks tend to be more slippery than old tracks, in the same way that a track gets better over the course of a race weekend because it rubbers in.
Because they haven't rubbered in.
This track hasn't rubbered in at all.
So it's the sliding of the tyres that causes increased degradation.
So it was too slippery.
Is it?
Or not slippery enough.
Why didn't they just put some sand on it?
Well, they did, which I think caused separate problems. I mean, I say they. Nature provided the sand from the desert in which the circuit is
maybe
built.
we shouldn't be racing in fucking Qatar.
Also, it's Qatar, but, let you off. I actually thought it did make a nice change, as Joshua said, to have them all going at absolutely hell for leather. There was no tyre saving. They were just like, right, hard as you can, go, 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 go. And then we'll just change the tyres and get some new ones.
Despite all those pit changes, there was actually some of the fastest pit changes we've seen since the bigger tyres came in as well.
Yeah,
so
McLaren,
they were really going for
McLaren got 1.8 seconds, which is that faster than Red Bull have managed in the past? Is that a new record?
Apparently so.
It's the fastest with these new tyres.
With the bigger wheels, with like the 19-inch wheels.
Oh, I mean, I want ever. That's the only record I'm interested in.
But also, do you know what? And also, I'm just going to talk about my love life today, but it's not even Christmas. But it's amazing how jaded you can get watching Formula One for 40 years.
No. Well, yes.
But like, she was genuinely impressed with the pit stops to a point that I kind of forgot how impressive they are.
Were you sitting there going, no, that was 2.8 seconds. That was shit.
Yeah. Because I was like, that was a bit slow. And she was like, what do you mean? I was like, yeah, it's 2 seconds. And she was like, what do they do in 2 seconds? Because she's like, blinking, you miss it. And I was like, they changed all 4 tyres. And she was like, that's good. I was like, yeah, if you think about it, it's quite impressive.
It's
really,
all right. It's all right if you're easily impressed, I suppose.
Sorry, I just coughed and I forgot to press the button because I was too busy coughing.
That cough took longer than the McLaren pit stop.
It is worth...
Can you imagine?
It is worth remembering that 2 seconds is very short for anything.
I can't do anything in 2 seconds.
Well, I've heard that's not true.
Hey, come on.
What would happen if, when the car comes in and you're on one of the tyres and you sneeze the moment it arrives?
Well, you'd be sneezing into your helmet, and you just better hope that you're taking the tyre off and not putting it on.
I'd like to see that happen. I'd like to see every single mechanic sneeze at the same time when a car comes in and see what happens. So
maybe when the previous car comes in, they should just like put a little pepper on it. It fills the pit lane with pepper.
This is what we're going. So we're going to, because some of the pit guys from the other teams, like, they help out by like pulling their rigs out the way when cars come into the pits. If their pit stops next to the one that's coming in, maybe they should do that. But as they do it, they just sort of release a special sneeze gas. This is all great ideas, I think, for marginal gains.
That's banned under the Geneva
Is it?
Convention.
Is sneeze gas banned?
It's a chemical weapon, really, isn't it?
I mean, when does a gas become a weapon? That's the fine line of the regulations you've got to sort of dance around, I think.
Yeah.
Ron Dennis would have found something by now, I'm sure.
While there was a lot of on-track action to talk about, the conditions in Qatar should get a mention too. Logan Sargent had to retire from the race as he fell ill, while Esteban Ocon puked in his helmet. Several other drivers also reported being ill as a result of the heat. Luke Wilmot asks, how much coke did Lance Stroll do after he got out of the car? Look at his post-race interview. It might also explain his temper after quali too. Alison Brooker says, can someone remind Logan, can't take the heat Sargent, that he's from Texas? Texas! He was racing against blokes from Scandinavia and Britain, for fuck's sake. Although I suppose the conditions would have been similar to Bottas' sauna.
I love the fact that we're actually being kind of like, well, it did look like it was quite harsh in the conditions, and all our listeners are just going, these guys are wimps. They're probably on coke.
I don't know where I come down on this. I mean, I will say that my state of F1 is going to be about this subject, so we can go into more detail later. But just show of how. Well, let's just go around the room, right? When you first heard that Logan Sargent was going to pull out because he was ill, did you feel sorry for him, or did you find that funny, Phil?
Can I say both?
No, you got to pick one.
I mean, it was pretty funny, but then I'm jaded and have no soul.
Drew?
Well, I thought it was indicative that the person who we probably rank as the least experienced and the least skilled was also the one who gave up under the exact same circumstances as everyone else. So I thought it was.
Although he had apparently been ill earlier as well, earlier in the week.
Well, no, they said when they talked about it during the race, they asked, was he fine before? They said, yeah, he was absolutely fine.
Of course they'd say that, wouldn't they?
So before,
they're not going to say, no, we're really worried that he might die.
He even kind of laughed about it, though, didn't he? He was like, no, he was fine before.
No, I'm at death's door.
But that's the team realising they'd prefer to get the car back in one piece.
Well, they shouldn't have given it to Logan Sargent in the first place, then, should they?
Well, it was a very strange thing, because I think it was Corinne Chandok on the commentary was like, yeah, because obviously if he fakes he could crash the car, that could be very expensive for the team. And you're like, yeah, but no one else is. I mean, everyone's saying they're ill, but like, no, I mean, I don't know. I felt for him when he got out of the car, because you could tell like the embarrassment. I mean, I'm not saying he was thinking of us, but he's probably thinking, oh, those three dicks on that podcast are going to take the piss out of me now. And I'm sure he felt properly sick. I'm not going to say that.
I had heat stroke, apparently, yeah.
Yeah. But also, I don't know. I don't want to get on that kind of Facebook nostalgia thing of like, back in the day, Binmans and we all used
Mansell collapsing on his own wheel.
Roll hoops and everything in the yard with a stick. But yeah, the drivers used to, in hot races, push the car across the line because they'd run out of fuel. and collapse, everyone went nuts. And then collapse and get really quite bad physical injuries from it. Yeah. But I don't know, it did feel a little... It did feel a little...
Did they used to race in the desert?
There's been desert races before. They used to race in Libya and I think in Syria. And there was a non-championship race in Dubai back in the day.
And there's certainly been some deserted races.
I mean,
I think... I was going to say, the best I heard was Lance Stroll after the race saying that he was passing out in the corners, which I don't know why. Just, can you imagine him just getting to the straight and going, what the fuck just happened? Oh my God. Where the fuck am I? Oh shit. Oh yeah. Here comes another corner.
I want to see.
If anything, it's quite impressive if he kept going at all, if he was feeling that bad. I mean, driving an F1 car is extremely difficult all the time. So doing it if you're on the brink of passing out is quite impressive.
It does. As somebody, not a weird flex, but somebody with experience of that region throughout the year, because I used to live out there, it does get really, really hot. And I did slightly wonder when they announced when the race would be. It's like October is about the time when it starts to get less awful. Because basically it's insanely hot and humid all the way through the summer. And then around October, it starts to cool down. Then by sort of November, December, it's actually really nice, which is why Yas Marina is always at the end of the year and Saudi's at the beginning of the year before it gets hot again. So this just seemed like something that they could easily have foreseen by looking at the weather forecast.
Well, it seems, Phil, that you are the only person with any kind of involvement in F1, no matter how tangentially, to have ever been to the Middle East.
It does seem that way. I did a 24-hour kart race in July in Dubai years ago, and it was really horrible and hot and nasty. So,
Outdoors.
Yes.
Did you throw up in your helmet?
No, because I'm proper hard me, but I can imagine it's
Were you
pretty
racing
horrible.
in full overalls?
Yeah, full overall. Oh, I did have the helmet cracked open a bit because it was pretty warm, but I was very sweaty. I lost a good couple of kilos in sweat, and didn't win.
That's the thing I think they were trying to make very clear, is that not only is it super, super hot, and when you're traveling hot, the air hitting you is super, super hot. You're wearing full, effectively, 2 layers of thermal clothes.
They would have been wearing more kit, definitely. And you can open the visor to get air in, but it is like then it's just like somebody's flying a hairdryer in your face. So it's not like you're getting a nice cool breeze. So it probably was.
And apparently the water brutal. You drink is like tea.
Yes,
it's like it's almost like warm tea.
To which the obvious question, I'm sure I heard somebody else say this, is like, why not just have tea in your water bottle?
The tea leaves are extra weight.
Oh, there is that. Well, you take the tea leaves out before you put it in, otherwise it'll stew. Come on, Drew, this is basic stuff. 3 minutes, then you put it in the cup.
Performance enhancing drug.
You know that some team have actually sent people out to work out the best, most aero efficient tea they can put in the car.
Can't have a team without tea.
Oh, but can we also talk about our favourite driver, Fernando Alonso, who had his poor little body burnt?
Oh yes,
by
like all our favourite drivers.
Now the thing about this is, and again, we're talking about what this is in the commentary, so probably a lot of people would have heard this too. But when Alonso said, "It's really hot in here. Can someone pour a bottle of water on me at the pit stops?" And then I think it's David Croft was there going, "But the pit stops are only 2 seconds long." So what
I can spit at you, and that's about it.
So all I can think is just that when, have you ever been to Victoria Coach Station?
Yes.
And they've got that kind of constant water spray where the coaches come in.
No.
Have you ever noticed that?
No.
Where the coaches come in,
right,
there's a spray of water into the garage that sprays like alongside the kind of garage which the buses pass through. And I used to go to Coach Station all the time when I was poor, and I never knew what that was. I thought it was like, is it disinfecting the buses? Like, where the fuck have they been? And apparently it's used as a deterrent to stop people wandering into the garage by mistake, because they have to walk past a jet of water. But all I can think is that's the only way to do it. They should just have like a car wash installed with a hose. Just like, if you had a hose, they would have had time to do this. One of them gets a hose out and just aims it up in a kind of arc to where the cockpit will be when he stops.
He just drives into it.
And he just drives into
with his
it.
visor up. That's a good idea. I mean, my thinking was it's just bringing back refueling. Is that instead of a fuel hose, you get 2 guys just bringing like an industrial fire hose to the side of his head and just opening it for 2 seconds, and then he drives off.
Or could all the people that Alonso has pissed off that are still working in the F1 paddock just be like, "Oh no, I'll have a go," and they just piss in a bucket.
In a bucket. I mean, that seems like it's one step too far. Why not, straight from the source?
Oh, wait, when he comes in for his pit stop and there's like 10 people from various teams all just pissing where he's about to stop.
Exactly.
And he knows he has to... if he wants to change his tyres, he's got to get pissed on.
Yeah. I think
they have the golden boot. etc.
The golden helmet, yeah.
In other news, let's get ready to welcome Andretti Cadillac to the F1 grid. The FIA has given its approval to the bid for a new American team to join F1, having satisfied all the necessary criteria. So that's that, right?
Yes.
This is so gloriously Formula One. I love it.
Can you explain this, Phil? I can have a go.
I mean, I can have a crack. I think between us, we'll give people entirely the wrong message, but it might be amusing. So, in order to get a new team in Formula One, there are a set of written down criteria. Basically, the FIA has some written down criteria, and then Formula One, by which I mean the teams and Liberty Media, which may or may not now still be called Formula One Management, is it? I don't know. Anyway, Formula One, this sort of unit, they have criteria that they want, and it's all written down, and you have to
actually,
sort of
Phil,
satisfy.
Can I start with that? I presume that by having FIA and Formula One having their own criteria, they put it all into one pot and test everything at once and give approval together, yeah?
What?
No?
What? No,
That would
that's a
make
crazy
sense.
idea. No. They've made it long and drawn out and vague and difficult to understand. Obviously. Come on, Terry. So, several teams, not just Andretti, several teams said, hey, I quite fancy being in F1. And some of them were relatively good at racing cars. They included High Tech, who've got like teams in lower formula, not the old trainer makers from the 90s, and various other people who maybe were a little bit there. And anyway, there was Andretti Cadillac. And 4 or 5 of these teams sent their applications into the FIA, and the FIA looked at everything, and they looked at the list of criteria, and they went, tick, 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 tick. Andretti, you've got everything you need. You've got the backing of a major OEM in General Motors with Cadillac. Great. All that has to be done now is for it to be rubber stamped by Formula One, by which we mean the teams, essentially. The trouble is that the teams do not want another team.
But why is that? Is it because they might bring the sport into disrepute? Is it because, I don't know, they've got safety concerns? Is that the reason? Any other reason?
I mean, those would be valid concerns. But no, it's about money, obviously. Because at the moment, there is a pot of cash from Formula One that comes to the teams and is divvied up between them, depending on who does well. And if another team comes in, that same amount of money, theoretically, has to be divvied up more, so the teams get less. Never mind the fact that under the rules of Formula One at the moment, it says you can have up to 12 teams. We just have 10 at the moment, but you can have up to 12 under the current rules. And teams all...
Sorry, not to get too Spinal Tap here, but surely if it goes to 11, that's more money for everyone, because 11's won more than 10.
Well, the crossover is, can the addition of a new team bring in extra cash to make up for the fact that they are diluting the overall pot, and that will be the test that I think the teams will be applying. They want to be convinced that Andretti arriving will bring such a boost, let's say, to the American market by having an American team and an American engine manufacturer. Suddenly the appeal will be much bigger, more money will come into the organisation. That'll more than make up for the fact that they're taking X number of 100 million away from the other teams. Now, there is already a level of... Basically, a new team coming in has to pay, I think, 200 million to just apply and just join, which is essentially an anti-dilution fund that they just give to the other teams to sort of say, sorry, we're taking your slice of the pie. But now... And that was all agreed and written down, but now the teams have thought, well, we've thought about it and we think it's not enough. We want like $1 billion now, which is a bit too late. So the problem we've got here is that it's a complete disconnect between the FIA and the F1 and the teams, and one is saying, 4 teams, great, these guys are fine, they've done everything they need to, we've checked it in lots of detail, over to you guys to rubber stamp it, and now the teams are in a position where they're going to have to either suck it up and let them in, or look like absolute arsebags for saying no, because we love our money too much.
Well, I think I can guess which way this is going to go. The arsebags are going to look like total cunts, and just even the word dilution is offensive, isn't it? It's just, imagine if you got a job and they were like, well done, hello Drew, thank you, you've got the job. Just before you start, we just want to check that you're not going to dilute our company, and could you maybe just pay us for the first year, just in case?
Yeah, we'd be delighted to welcome you as a graphic designer, but you're going to have to give us 25,000 euros before we'll let you in.
Stupid. Oh, it's so stupid. And I hate the teams for this. I love it because it's funny, but I hate just this stupidity of going, it just makes Formula One a protection racket, doesn't it? It's just like, of course you can come in, but you got to pay us protection, like the Cray twins,
Oh, this goes back, is he, from a few episodes ago.
You say a few episodes, Phil. I've been doing this for years. I'd be ashamed if something was to happen to your team, wouldn't it? Oh, yeah. If I turn my back and then when I turn back around, your garage is on fire. Oh, I just thought it was.
I mean, I wouldn't start that kind of beef with somebody with an Italian surname, so let's see how that goes. Mr. Andretti.
Is there a split?
Oh, Andretti.
Is there a split between how the different teams are responding to it, whether the teams at the bottom of the grid are more or less against it? I mean, having a team come in that you're almost guaranteed to beat out of the gate, is that not positive, or are they not being seen like that?
No, it's not being seen like that.
No, because Formula One's all about paranoia, because they think they're going to... Because at one side, Formula One say, look, we don't think they're ready. They're all talk, Yes, Cadillac have said they're joining, but they're not making engines yet, and they're being a bit wishy-washy about it. And Andretti, last time Andretti was in Formula One, it was embarrassing. So, they're going to come in and be shit. But also, if they come in and they're good, we don't want to lose our money. So we don't. What if they're really good and we lose all our money? We don't want to lose our money, but they're going to be shit. But what if they're good?
What's been stupid about this is that the teams have been consistently shifting the goalposts when it comes to the argument. Because for years, this has been an argument against previous teams. And in fairness, they sort of had their fingers burned by the likes of HRT and Manor and all that lot coming in, and the various different Lotuses coming in and not being very good. So there were stringent criteria applied to try and avoid that happening again. But then Andretti have come in and it's like, look, we've got tons of experience racing and all sorts of different things. We've got a major OEM car manufacturer backing us. We've done everything you've asked for. We've got all the money. We've put tens of millions into it already. We're ready. Let us in.
But also, don't forget, HRT and everyone failing was mainly because of the teams as well, because there was talk of a budget cap then, and all these teams came in going, okay, well, when we start in a few years, there'll be this budget cap. And then all the teams went, no, we don't want a budget cap. Got lots of money.
That is true. And then I seem to remember there were other teams in that whole period. There were other teams that were sort of on the way and never made it, like Stefan GP and USGP. USF1. That's the one that was basically just Peter Windsor in a shed, as far as I remember.
And an American flag.
Yes. So I suspect this is going to drag on and involve court cases.
And also, I mean, the other thing is, just to put a tender in for this is going to cost a fucking fortune.
They'll have spent millions already. Yeah.
Yeah. And if they're coming in for 2026, which sounds like a long time, but we're all getting on a bit, the years fly by, don't they?
They do.
They're going to need to kind of know pretty soonish if they're actually going to be building a car.
Yeah. Takes a while to build a car.
It does. Got to find all the parts.
Yeah, you've got to go down to Halfords and Eurocar parts.
When you get ready DIY, you think you do it all in one trip, but you've always got to go back.
Yeah. Then you finally got the wrong bit, and you're like, oh, what do you mean there's 15 different types of sealant?
Well, I'll tell you now.
Tell us how wrong...
But no, before, I'll tell you now. You try doing that in German. Because I tell you what, my German is, okay, by which it's terrible, but it's, I can recognize words and look them up. But in a DIY shop, they use words that you don't get anywhere else, and it's the most bewildering place in the fucking world. There, that's my little rant.
I bet there's some super long words at the DIY shop.
Oh my god!
They just merge them all together.
The shelves are longer because they've got to fit the labels on. That's
the small metal screw that is used to put on the back of a cabinet in the north. All one word.
Tell us how wrong we are. You can tweet us at For F1's Sake or find us on Facebook where we're For F1's Sake. Or email us at wrong@ff1s.com where you can also leave us a team review. Just email a voice note to wrong@ff1s.com. Alternatively, if you think we're right, then why not buy us a beer and support the making of this podcast? That's what Natalia Sidorenko did, who said, wanted to thank Terry for an explosive diarrhea I had in the office a few months ago after listening to his story about eating expired butter and shitting himself for a week. Luckily, they laid off lots of people, so there was no one to hear me shit.
Right.
Whoa.
Hang on 1 minute.
Look. The food poisoning was pretty bad, but I don't think you can contract it orally. With an A.
Oh, that makes it sound like a human centipede kind of situation. That's horrible.
Orally with an A, Drew.
I've got so many questions.
Sorry.
So many questions. I mean, but none of which I want the answers to.
So does that mean there are people in the world that when they hear about someone having diarrhea, it gives them diarrhea?
Isn't this essentially the superpower
like
that you wanted not that long ago?
Because we should start putting warnings on this podcast, like strobe lights on a show.
This podcast includes graphic depictions
notes
of
in it.
You may find yourself.
If you are prone to diarrhea, turn off your headphones now.
No, or it should just be ladies and gentlemen, this episode of For F1's Sake contains scenes of diarrhea, so we suggest you listen whilst already seated on the toilet.
I mean, that's...
Should we put
most people probably
a
do
number
anyway.
at the end? If you've been affected
Yes, exactly.
by the diarrhea discussion in this episode...
Thanks, Natalia, for sending us cash, for giving you the shits.
Yeah. I hope you fucking washed
On
it
that
before you
brown
sent
note,
it.
On that brown note, it's thanks to our awesome repeat offenders paying a little every month to keep us on the right track. They are Michael Rigby,
Rigby.
Paul Hewitt,
Yes.
Jennifer Brightman,
Yeah.
Marble127, Greg Hoffman, Michael Perry, Donald Griffin, Christopher
Beckles.
and the very generous Andy
Why is he
Wallington.
so
Wowington.
Is he more generous? He's giving more money.
He gave us all his money. It's quite difficult for him now.
Join them all. Head to ff1s.com/pint. The teams do whatever they do, and they'll make you spew if they want. The teams race wherever they like. If it's wrong or right, it's all right.
Tremendous. Oh! I keep forgetting we were filmed in front of a live studio audience.
And also,
God, it's just like the live show we did. But with clapping.
oh, that brings me back to when I had to used to put laughter onto my videos. That was probably one of the first times, Drew, you've done a song that I recognise, so thank you.
I had the last one as well. I forget what it was, but you definitely heard that one.
Okay.
Because you said the same thing then.
Okay, well, I have a memory of a sin. I used to be a huge Oasis fan. Let's go around the room. Oasis or Blur? At the time, not
Blur.
now.
At the
time and now, Blur.
Okay.
I don't think I genuinely had a preference. Now, Blur. At the time, I liked them both.
Obviously now Blur, because Blur are better.
I had posters of both of them.
At the time.
And I bought singles and albums by both of them.
I don't think that was allowed. I mean, I bought everything from both of them. I went to see them, Oasis, twice.
Wow.
Once at Gloucester Leisure Centre and once at Nebworth.
Oh, wow. The big one.
It was fine.
I've seen Blur, I've never seen Oasis, so maybe there's your answer.
I've seen
Oasis, but I've never seen Blur.
I've seen Blur
but I don't-
and Oasis and Pulp.
Together.
And
As
Suede.
Bloasis. That was a separate thing. At a club.
Yeah, that was another
Berlin.
night.
Red Bull. And so the inevitable has happened. Max Verstappen is 3 times world champion. And what a way to win it in. By your increasingly useless teammate skittering off into the gravel. In fairness to Perez, that crash in the sprint wasn't entirely his fault, but it came in the middle of yet another terrible weekend that saw him struggle to even stay on the track, racking up multiple penalties for exceeding track limits. Yeah, he's got a contract until the end of the year, but has he though?
It depends how much stock you take in the sort of the general vibe and demeanour of Helmut Marko. Because if you take quite a bit of stock in that, I don't think he's going to last next year.
But do they need to replace him?
Well,
They've already won constructors and drivers, and they're well ahead of the pack. They don't have a driver troubling Max at the front. No drama. Do they need to replace him?
Well, isn't that a good argument to get someone new in to give him a few races warm up to going for it next year?
I mean, it's back to the whole debate about what's a good teammate. Like, it seems that it's increasingly becoming consensus among people that it's better to have one really good driver and one wingman, because then you avoid dramas. And as soon as you get 2 that are slightly good, you get Hamilton-Rosberg, increasingly Hamilton-Russell. Norris-Piastri is looking like it's going to get a bit spicy. I don't know, Senna-Prost. You know, at the moment, the trouble that Perez has is he's so far off Verstappen that he's basically being no help whatsoever. So in the event if McLaren get better and suddenly you've got Verstappen next season being harassed by Piastri and Norris, do you really think Perez is going to be there to help them in any way, like he did with Hamilton in 2021 at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix? I can't see him doing that again in this car at the moment.
And also, this is actually where it gets... Because we always we poo-poo the idea of second drivers because we all want PK Mansell kind of Senna Prost kind of thing. But it's really hard to gauge a good level of a second driver. It's like saying, I want to always be the second most attractive in the room. Right?
I think you are.
Now, well, I am at the minute because there's a spider in here. But, but you know, it's like some days I'm easily the second attractive in the room. Some days I'm the ugliest in the room. Some days I'm the most attractive in the room, says my mum. which is weird. And it's just like Perez, we all thought he's a good driver, he's a good second plate, but he's not. Pressure's got to him, dirty tangos, whatever it was that Max said, I don't know what. But he's not good enough. But how do you pick a driver that's... Because you need a driver that's not good enough to trouble Max Verstappen, but you also need a driver who's good enough to beat everyone else. That's quite a narrow window.
I think from memory of recent years, you need a driver who's not good enough to beat the number one, but who doesn't realise it yet.
Bottas
Rosberg.
is the best.
Although in fairness, Rosberg is the exception that proves the rule, because he put so much work in that he eventually did beat him, but then he had to retire because he was like, well, I'm never doing that again. Perez early on won 2 races at the start of the year, but then it started getting him. I think when you can believe that you can do it, to believe you can achieve.
Yeah. Well, do you remember at the start of the year? I know we weren't serious about it, but like there was a point when Perez was doing a Bottas 2.0. Oh, I'm really going to go for the championship this year, and we're all like, yeah, right. But even saying yeah, right, it seems silly now, doesn't it?
But again, he won 2 races at the start of the year. After 4 races, Verstappen and Perez had 2 wins each, and at that point, Perez was doing a great job. But then it just became increasingly clear that he was hopeless, and now his mind is completely gone, and he's nowhere. See again, Lance Stroll this weekend. Like, his mind is clearly completely gone as well. He's nowhere near
the
Alonso.
quarters.
But then there'd been some time earlier in the season where it's like, hey, no, he's doing really well. He could be a future world champion. But now he's hopeless. So you've got to have somebody. You've got to string them along and make them believe that they can eventually get number one status, even though you have absolutely no intention of giving it to them.
I do kind of genuinely think that if Ricciardo hadn't broken his hand, they were really gearing him up for dropping him in Red Bull at the end of this year or start next year. But I don't know if they can risk it now, can they?
I mean, he's going to have, 5 races left, is it? Because he's coming back next race. He's going to have 5 races.
Fucking races left.
Yeah, I know. I think Ricciardo's back in for the next race, I believe. So if he smacks Tsunoda away, which you really think he should, because this was the first race of Lawson's 4 that he didn't. Like, he's beaten Tsunoda in every other round, I think. He had a bit of a shitter this weekend, but if Ricciardo's firing on all cylinders...
Don't say that, people will start shitting themselves everywhere.
Sorry, Natalia, thank you for the money. I think if Ricciardo's gets back into the car fully refreshed and ready to rock, and his peckers up, no pun intended, it's not a pun, euphemism, whatever, then, potentially, yeah, him as back to his old seat with Verstappen, but with the understanding that he's not going to beat Verstappen. Nobody's going to beat Verstappen.
Yeah, but just saying, hopefully he's going to feel good and be better. Let's not forget, Ricciardo in a McLaren felt great. It was shit. So,
and got worse the longer it went on.
He's got a big question mark that really needs properly answering. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, but again, we're back to the whole, yeah, but who else? Like, there's no other options, really.
Vettel.
No, he's
Vettel announced he was going back to racing this week.
He's living in a commune with bees now.
No, he announced he's going back to racing. He's going to do some kind of sports car stuff because he's bored. Oh. And he might team up with Jenson Button and someone else to be some kind of world champion sports car team.
Oh.
So he's clearly a bit bored. He was back at a race, I think it was in Japan last week for the first time he was back
with
at
his
a
bees.
Race. With his bees. So I think he'll be in the Red Bull next year. You heard it here first.
I mean, that would be... Well, you see, the thing is, I think time with Vettel has proven that, it would... I mean, Vettel will get his arse absolutely handed to him by Verstappen, I think.
And also, he left Red Bull when they were winning to go to Ferrari. So you could imagine they'll bring him back and be like, oh, whoops, we've forgot to turn your car on. Oh. Yeah. Anyway, fuck them all.
McLaren. Oscar Piastri is starting to make Lando Norris look worried. Victory in the sprint race and second in the race is cracking stuff from Piastri, who is still a rookie. Norris was far from shit with a third both weekends' races. Should we still be assuming that he's the McLaren's number 1 for the foreseeable future?
Up to now, I'd have said yes, but Piastri was really good. And now Norris is in the weird position where generally you'd have to say he's been the best McLaren driver of recent years, but all his teammates have won races and he hasn't. Because Ricciardo won a race, Norris has won a race, Norris has never won a race. So...
Did you just... What?
Did I just what?
You just said Norris has won a race, but Norris has never won a race.
Oh, did I say Norris? I meant Piastri.
Oh, okay.
It's because we're recording earlier and I've not been drinking, so I'm not making so much sense.
Has Piastri won a race?
Yeah, he won the sprint race.
Oh, that doesn't count.
Oh, okay. Well, now we're getting into it. Shall I record all of that again?
No.
Norris looked a bit rattled. He was sort of being a bit needly with Piastri, I thought, after being beaten by him again. But I think Piastri has to be consistent, though. That's the thing. Like, if he can keep doing it to the end of the season, then yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be tricky for Norris, isn't it? Because he's finally, he had that glorious period when he was with Ricciardo, and they were still doing quite well as a team. He was finishing like high up in podiums and everything, and Ricciardo was down at the bottom. So he was like, "Oh God, I'm fucking great at this Formula One stuff."
And then Ricciardo won a race.
But yeah, exactly. And then McLaren got genuinely shit for a while, and then Piastri comes in, and Norris has had the measure of him most of the year because he's in the team, but it's his team, blah blah blah. And now, just as McLaren are getting good again, you can just imagine it's never going to go Norris's way. He's going to get beaten by Piastri, and he was a bit patronising on his radio messages, wasn't he? When he was just like, "I'm clearly faster than him. Can I overtake him?" But they're like, "No," and he's like, "Are you sure?" Because blah blah blah, and it's just like, come on, mate.
I think if it carries on going the way it's going, I think Zach Brown and Andrea Moda are going to have some interesting decisions to make about how they approach it. Because when you have two guys and you don't know who's going to be the best, that's when history tells us it all goes a bit crazy.
Cool.
Yeah, which I'm very much looking forward to.
Mercedes. Just last week we asked if things were tetchy at Mercedes, but we didn't think everything would go all Rosbergian quite so quickly. Hamilton and Russell collided in turn 1, a move eerily reminiscent of Barcelona 2016, except Russell didn't retire with Hamilton. He picked himself up and charged back to 4th place, which was actually rather impressive. Hamilton watched from the sidelines and accepted full responsibility for the crash. Could this be the start of Hamilton's decline?
Yes.
I don't want to.
Is it even the start?
I don't want to say yes, but
yes. I think
he did the same.
More a symptom of it than anything else.
When we look back on things, this will be the moment where he suddenly realised, I'm not as good as I used to be. I'm making the kind of mistakes I never used to make. And within a couple of years, he'll have retired.
Except, and I want to just check something on the technical rules here, because he did the same kind of move last week and just like clipped. Was it also Russell that he clipped with the back of his car as he kind of swung by? And I am wondering...
They definitely went into each other.
Have they made the cars longer, but they haven't told Lewis Hamilton?
Is it like...
Because that would be the kind of thing the fucking FIA would do against our boy.
Was it Roald Dahl's The Twits, where they make their canes longer and longer just to fuck with them?
The hat smaller and smaller.
Maybe they're doing that. Maybe they're trying to drive him out because they're like, right, we need to go all in on Russell now. We don't want to get rid of Hamilton because he's done very well for us. So let's just psychologically torture him until he thinks he's going mad and retires.
Just literally gaslighting him.
But it was very sad because it was clearly Hamilton it was just a sort of move he'd make effortlessly years ago, and you'd be like, wow, that's amazing. Woo.
I've just remembered something else that happened to me this week that I can't believe I didn't put in my what have I've been up to thing. Somebody crashed their car through my garden fence and gate. Because they accidentally hit their accelerator instead of their brake. And I wonder if it's starting to get to the point like that with Hamilton, where he's just like, I thought I was past him, but then I just, I don't know where I am.
So, hang on, Phil, are you saying that someone with dementia crashed into your house?
No, weirdly, it was a perfectly lucid woman in her early 50s who said she hadn't had a crash in 20 years, but then somehow mashed the accelerator on her Toyota and stuffed it into my garden.
I love the motoring journalist in you has to name check the brand of the car.
It was a CHR hybrid, if you want to ask. And that actually explains it because it was an automatic, so it's a lot easier to mix up the pedals if you're that way inclined.
There's only 2 of them.
Oh, my bum hurts. Right, Alonso, you've shut yourself again, haven't you?
Sorry, Natalia.
It's gone very warm in here. It's very warm on my bum.
Are you my son?
I do quite like the edit. Okay, two things. Fernando Alonso did look quite old this weekend, I thought, when I saw his face. Even though we're not talking about Aston Martin. And another personal story myself. So when I was watching this race with my partner, they were doing the start of the race where they were doing all the kind of interviews and everything. And she went, "Who's that?" And I was like, "That's George Russell. We don't like him." And she was like, "Why?" And I had to, it's really hard to explain why you don't like someone. I just said, "I think he's a c-." And then the Hamilton Russell thing happened, and he was really angry. And I'm like, "See?" And she's like, "Yeah, but he sounds justified to be angry." And I'm like, "Stop."
Shut up.
Anyway, I might get her to guest host the podcast because I think she does more than me after one race.
Yeah, it sounds like this trip to Miami might not be absolutely nailed on yet. Because you might just get annoyed with her and she's like, "No, I don't want to go to Miami because I'm right about Formula One and George Russell is a dick." I'm sure it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. There's no beaches in Miami, are there?
Oh my God, I'm sorry. Arsehole.
I'm sorry, that's too much.
Even Matt came back on the line with COVID to react to that, Phil.
Sorry. Too much. Sorry, Terry. I didn't mean it.
No, it's fine.
It was purely for the comedy.
Ferrari. Just as Ferrari start to look reasonable, they go and Ferrari things up again. Carlos Sainz, who we were fetting as the new Charles Leclerc just a couple of races ago, couldn't even start the race because his car broke, while Leclerc started and finished in 5th place, but was all a bit all over the shop in the sprint and finished outside the points with a penalty. So, business as usual in Maranello?
Yep. Yeah. We thought for a second that maybe they got their act together, but no.
So what? Fuel issues sounds very vague, doesn't it?
I mean, it might even have been a case of like they were getting ready to start the race and they were like, "Hang on, should this fuel be dripping all over the floor from the back of the car?" And then someone said, "No, I don't think so."
I think it's more likely that somebody put diesel in.
Just misfueled it.
Why do we even have a diesel pump here?
This makes no sense.
Now you mention it.
It's just asking for trouble.
Yeah, I mean, that is a proper Ferrari fuck-up, isn't it? It's like, I mean, at least get the car ready properly. You know, fine, have it break down or have do something stupid in strategy, but get the car to the grid and start it. It's pretty basic stuff. I mean.
It does feel a bit odd. But yeah, it's fine. And yeah, I'm amazed Leclerc... Where did Leclerc finish?
4th in the end. Or possibly 5th. Yeah, 5th, sorry.
Or did he get 4th because of a penalty?
No, I think 5th. I just forgot to update it on the doc.
Oh, okay. Oh, where did Leclerc finish? 5th?
I think 5th, yeah.
Kind of impressive, really, because he seemed to be nowhere throughout the entire race.
I mean, he was kind of in no man's land, wasn't he?
What, Ferrari?
Well, yes. I don't know, they're just... I need to learn that if Ferrari go a couple of races without massively fucking up, that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Stop using it to play the pools. No, the lottery. The lottery. What's the pools?
Is the pool still a thing? I don't think it is.
I don't know. Is the pool still a thing? I used to help my granddad with that. What was the pools?
I don't really know.
It was
the football pools.
Was it just betting?
I guess.
Where you bet on what the scores are going to be that weekend.
But it wasn't like a bet, was it? It wasn't. But it wasn't quite.
It's a bet.
But it was different. It wasn't just going down the bookies and getting 3-1 on Liverpool scoring 3, was it? It was something specific. Was it like a sweepstake or something?
Premium bonds.
No, premium bonds are a different thing.
No, you still predict the score, but it's like specifically picking scores and.
Yeah, but I think,
and I'm looking up. You can still do it.
But it wasn't based. It wasn't like Ladbrokes doing it, was it? It was like some I think it was a government thing. Am I really misremembering this?
It may have been before we had the big bookies. It may have just been the first national way of doing it, but that is pure speculation on my part.
Well, there's no way of finding out. So.
I used to have to help my granddad write the
access
scores
to
down.
Information.
Write the scores down, and then we'd get it out of the paper, and there'd be like a big blank. Do you remember the days where they just print the newspaper full of blank things for you to fill in yourself? What a weird,
genius move.
Weird world the past
Crossword
was.
puzzles.
It's a genius move by the publishers.
Exactly. Stupid.
Aston Martin. We've got opinions about Lance Stroll, but before we give them, let's hear what our Silverstone correspondent, Jamel McClough, had to say about Aston Martin.
It was a complicated weekend for Aston Martin, with both drivers swapping roles. Lance Stroll acting like an aggressive, petulant old man, and Alonso trying to imitate Stroll by driving off the track at any opportunity. At this point, has Stroll been instructed to ensure Aston finish fifth to get more wind tunnel time for next season?
Ooh. It's a theory.
I mean...
But then they'd also lose a ton of money, wouldn't they? If they
Well,
don't
they've got
do as
money
well as...
because they're rich.
Oh, that's true. Maybe wind tunnel time is worth more to them than X number of million, because Lawrence Stroll's got cash to spare.
This is like where I never use special offers. I don't trust them.
You don't use special offers?
No, I don't trust them.
I only use special offers. I love them.
See?
Do you not have a nectar card? Well, of course you don't. You live in Germany, but is there an
No,
equivalent?
we have kein nectar card. Wir haben keine nectar card.
Do you have nectar cards, but it's with a nectar with a K instead of a C in nectar? Nectar! Just more aggressive.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know if this question has ever been asked and answered on the podcast before, but how do they regulate how much wind tunnel time you actually use?
there's a bloke.
Trust. You just have to say...
Because if you own your own wind tunnel... Because the OEMs, a lot of them will have their own wind tunnel for manufacturing road cars. What's to say you don't slip the F1 car in there?
I guess you have to log it or film it or just be honest.
Yeah, but just don't film it.
How can you prove we did what you said we didn't do? Oh.
It's not exactly Ocean's 11, is it?
It'd be a lot more fun if it was.
Well,
all the wind tunnels have to be in a vault in Las Vegas.
You know how all the teams have to have like a Pirelli employee always there to check that they're...
Oh, do they? Maybe they do. Yeah, yeah.
So maybe there's a wind tunnel expert that just has to sit with it. Like he's sitting there for lunch.
But again, what's to stop them just going in after hours and just not inviting Barry from Pirelli?
Because Barry, the wind tunnel guy, has to be at every meeting.
Maybe he's the only one with the key. Yeah.
He's got the keys.
Yeah. Oh, Barry, I've left my pencil in the wind tunnel. Can you just go and let us... Just give us the keys. I'll just let myself... I'm going to be in and out.
Yeah. It's only going to take me 3 or 4 hours to find it. This scale model? Oh, no, it's for my son.
We're going to use the wind tunnel for a non-F1 project. My son is doing a science fair, and he's made a full-scale model of a Formula 1 car for the 2026 regulations. I know, he's a genius, I tell you. Yeah. They're so bright these days, aren't they?
With their F ducts and their double diffusers. Yeah, there might be something in that, but I don't know. Maybe. Probably. No. Stroll. Did you see... Now, Terry, you didn't watch the sprint race, but...
I have watched it in hindsight.
Okay, so
is that the word you
Stroll...
use? That's not how you use that word, is it?
No. Retrospect? I don't know.
Hinterlaufen.
Yeah. I've watched it in Hinterlaufen. Does that mean winter? I don't know. Anyway, so Lance Stroll was the angriest and stroppiest I've ever seen him. So this was after the... No, this wasn't even the sprint race, was it? It was qualifying. Was it qualifying where he went out in Q1 again, as he so often does? And he got out of the car and stomped about, and his trainer was trying to say something to him or do something to him, and he physically pushed his trainer away and then gave like a 9-word interview afterwards, was just looking like the sulkiest boy.
Which, for nothing else, if you can physically push your trainer away, I think you need a new trainer.
No, surely that means he's trained you very well and you're immensely strong.
But then you need a better trainer to train you more.
Yeah.
I'd say that should be the first test of a trainer, is that they shouldn't be able to get pushed over by the driver.
I think this is... Maybe that's the moment where the apprentice became the master. It's like,
no, you do some fucking sit-ups.
You have defeated me. And you claim your rightful place.
Cunt. Although actually, before I want to go back a second, because I just remembered something I didn't talk about, which was when Perez got the second penalty. Because it's just reminded me of this because of Stroll being all stroppy. The bollocking he got off the radio was fucking massive. Like, if there's any other reason that he's going to get fired from Red Bull, is that he got publicly... We thought Logan Sargent was embarrassed. Perez got bollocked for not being able to drive around the track properly and say, oh, this is really hurting our race. You stupid shit.
Yeah, if you could stop driving off the track repeatedly, that'd be great. But yeah, Lance Lance Stroll was a very, very stroppy boy. And what's interesting is this came in a week that it was announced that Aston Martin are heading back to sports car racing with their hypercar for the first time in God knows how long. Is it the Valkyrie? Yes, I think it's the Valkyrie.
The Valkyrie Bottas?
The Valkyrie Bottas. There's a rebranding, my word. He's still at Sauber, but he comes in on a horse. He's got wings. And he dresses as a woman. The cynic in me thinks that maybe the Aston Martin have decided to do this sports car project, that they need some kind of hotshot former F1 driver to lead it up. Oh, who have we got? Well, we can't use Alonso because he's too good. So what about this guy, Lance Stroll? Lance, we've got this brand new amazing Le Mans project for you.
No.
Your seat. Oh, we'll find somebody better for that.
No, I'm staying in my car because Daddy said I could do whatever I wanted.
But he doesn't. We've discussed it before. He doesn't want to be doing F1.
Yeah, but you don't want to be doing it until you're told you can't do it anymore.
Oh, I see.
You know, it's like a relationship, isn't it?
Or maybe he'd been told that he's not getting the Le Mans seat, and that was why he was so moody, because he realised he had to stay in F1 even longer.
Maybe. I don't know. It was very depressing. Daddy's shit. But also Alonso was a bit shit this week, just because he was old and feeling faint, I think. But even went off the track, which he never does.
Nearly went through my garden fence.
Is it, well, could that be like between we saw a very early mistake from Hamilton and we saw Fernando coming off the track as well? Do you think their age made them more susceptible to the heat?
Maybe.
It might not be to do with the heat. It might just be the age.
No, but I think there's something there. You've got to be super fit in Formula One, and maybe their bodies are slightly past their prime to be able to take it.
I don't know. I find as I've got older, I like the heat more.
Well, they go on more cruises and holidays to the Greek islands, old people. But maybe that also explains...
There's liking 35 degrees on the beach, and then there's tolerating 55 degrees in a sweat
My dad
box.
spends all summer in his greenhouse. It must be about 70 degrees in there, and he comes out, he's happy as Larry.
Has he ever done a lap of Monza? Because he might be the fucking best.
Not in his greenhouse, no.
He might be the goat.
He'll always be the goat to me.
Oh, but also, maybe this explains why Logan Sargent's been so shit. Maybe he's actually a 70-year-old man who's been pretending to be young.
He's an actual sergeant. It's not his name; it's his title.
It's R. Lee Ermey from all the Vietnam films. That's why he keeps calling people maggots.
Oh, I thought you just loved Silverstone.
Alpine. It was a tale of two drivers at Alpine. Okay, yes, we know it's usually a tale of two drivers, but while Esteban Ocon barfed in his helmet and scored one of the best results of the season, Pierre Gasly kept his dinner down and yet finished outside of the points, thanks to multiple Perez-style track limit infringements. 5 races to go. How's the battle between the two going, do we reckon?
On paper, it's really close between them. Because looking at the standings, he says, bringing the standings up, they are right next to each other in 11th and 12th on 46 and 44 points. Spoilers for the standings later. But when you look at the individual race results, Pierre Gasly has retired from 1 race and Esteban Ocon has retired from 5 races. And yet they are very, very close on the old points. So that would say to me that Gasly's been rubbish and Ocon is clearly the best, but he's had rubbish luck. Though saying that, I can't remember how most of his retirements happened. So if he's crashed in every race, then that changes my story entirely.
I think I'd like to talk about the sick.
Well, there's the trailer. There's the trailer. Yeah,
going into
there's the
that
trailer
line.
for this week's episode.
So, because at first you hear puked in a helmet and you imagine the kind of inside of a helmet being covered in puke, but they've got to wear balaclavas, haven't they?
Yeah,
so it's more like
it's really gross.
Puking. I mean,
I don't think the puke gets out of the...
Well, some people wear their balaclava over their top lip.
Oh, that's true.
And then have the drink tube coming through, which I hope he didn't have, because some people wear it under their chin, and at least then it would just come out and down. But if you have your balaclava... I wear my balaclava up just under my nose when I race, and then that means it's going to come up into your nostrils and then up towards your eyes before it comes out.
It's going to be sealed, and
neither are great, but
it's just going to go down, and it's going to just stay next to your skin all the way down to the point where it's then
your
slopping around next to your skin.
Because your balaclava tucks in.
Exactly.
It tucks into your race suit, so it won't even come out. It's just, which does look better, to be fair, when you get out, that you don't look like you're covered in soap.
That's why they have to
but
tuck
you're
it in.
just in it.
But then it just stays in. It's like it's hot, sick,
Ugh.
being boiled next to your skin by the engine.
And then the next question, I
Mixed
think,
with
smells
sweat
so bad.
Oh god.
the next question is, what would their sick be like? Because I could make the obvious joke here about it would have carrots in it. But, they're on some kind of strict diet. Would they be doing do you remember when Paula Radcliffe shot herself at the marathon?
Yes.
And when you saw the pictures,
No, she stopped, pulled down her pants and shat by the side of the road like a pro.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
That's what they should be doing.
I watched that live on TV.
But that was quite liquidy, because obviously, I guess, as a high athlete, you've not had you've not had fish and chips the night before, have you? You've probably had some kind of smoothie.
Huel.
So, did it come out as a kind of liquid, or were there solid bits? And then maybe, do you think there was a point where he maybe got a bit hungry during the race and just kind of sucked up the balaclava a bit and went, ooh, I can taste protein drink.
I don't think hunger was one of the things they were complaining about a lot. Like,
I
oh
imagine
man, I'm
someone
so
like
hot
Felipe
and
Massa
dehydrated, and I'm kind of peckish.
Felipe Massa would be the type to go, I can't finish this race, I'm too fucking hungry.
Because another thing that
I am
struck me-
suing Formula One because I didn't win the championship because they didn't give me a fucking sandwich.
There's my mid-race burger. Also, Formula One drivers in preparation for a race, because weight is so important, I think they are on like a restricted liquid diet before they get there. So it's the constant battle between not being massively dehydrated and having enough hydration to perform well, but not so much that you're heavy. So I think they're running very close to the limit anyway.
What if he got disqualified after the race because they put him on the scales and he puked out all his body weight and he was too light? Oh, I guess it would still be on him, wouldn't it?
Well,
So
not
they've
if it
gotta hold
evaporated in the heat.
It'd still be absorbed.
No, because they have to hold the helmet
Yeah.
when they're getting weighed. That's because there might still be some sick in it.
Yeah, it's usually not that hard, but now it's time to carry it like a leaky bucket.
Oh, fuck.
They never talked about this on
I
Checkered
can't
Flag.
recall
It's
this
something-
ever happening before. Even all of the Singapore races where previously it's always, because that's really humid as well. I think this was more of a dry heat, which
No,
made it
I
worse.
strongly suspect it will be really humid there. If it's anything like the UAE,
Yeah,
from about August it gets super humid till basically the end of October. So I would imagine it was pretty damn hot and really humid. I could be wrong, but that's what I sort of envisaged. Because that's worse than it being dry. Like being dry is actually, it's like it sucks, but it's like it's all right. But when it's humid, it's just like, ugh, it's like you're biting the air. It's horrible.
Did they give any indication, because they always give out stats for how much weight drivers lose during Singapore? I didn't hear anyone specifically saying how much they thought the drivers may have lost during this race, if it was significantly more.
I guess because they haven't done it before, they don't have the stats from previous years to fling at you. But maybe, mind you, they're not going back to Qatar next year, are they? Or are they? No, I don't think they
I
are.
don't know.
Is it every 2 years they're having it, or is it just a one-off? I don't know. I've lost track now.
Stupid.
In all seriousness, though, that they must be reviewing this in terms of driver safety, in terms of what is acceptable, because this must have been the toughest physical race that any of those drivers currently on the grid has ever had to sit through. So questions will be asked about whether or not this is sustainable as a location.
If it is coming
Well,
back, it's got to be later, surely. Oh no, they are doing it again next year. Sorry, but yeah, it's later. It's in December next year.
They're racing in December next year. Oh, for fuck's
There's two
sake.
races in December next year.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I
It
hate
goes
this
proper
sport.
long these days. Christmas trees at the track.
Oh.
Christmas
thing,
Christmas
'cause
race.
That'd be nice if it was a novelty Christmas race, like a band having a novelty
The
Christmas.
Ho Ho Ho
thing.
Grand Prix.
But
So-
what?
Like it's a
Lapland.
knockout where
Oh,
everyone's
it works
in a
on
costume.
every level.
That'd be great. Well, they could have like
nice.
tinsel around the sides of the track,
Oh,
and
any chance
all
of
the teams have
reindeer?
special- all the teams have special Christmas liveries, like Christmas jumpers.
Yeah, tinsel everywhere.
I know. All the teams have got to make front wings for the other teams, and
Oh, like Secret Santa.
you can risk making one that's going to be really bad, but then of course karma might bite you, and you get one that makes your car bad. So will everyone try and make the best one they can make, or make the worst one? The last thing I'll say about Qatar is Qatar. How do you say it?
Qatar.
Qatar is. It's about really working out in Formula One what's more important. Is it drivers' well-being or money?
Money. Yeah.
Now, I think we know the answer. So, I reckon this time next year the cars will have air conditioning.
Well, you say that. The sports cars now have to have air conditioning in them. Like the sort of
Really?
the Olympic. Yeah, I believe it's in the regulations now that they have to have them. But obviously they're closed cockpits, so it'd be slightly more difficult if it's just like the most hardcore air conditioning unit you've got, just blowing it slightly into their face and then just going into the air, releasing
but they would
CFCs
totally
everywhere.
use that
Is that still a thing?
They would totally use that for aero, though, wouldn't they? They'd have all these little flicks reconditioning the...
You have the air conditioning
reconditioning
blowing
the air
extra
conditioned
diffusers.
air.
They'd have head diffusers.
Yeah. Wow.
Amazing. Anyway, that was Alpine.
AlphaTauri. This was Liam Lawson's final race for AlphaTauri. Probably, and coincidentally, it was his worst. After bidding it on the first lap of the sprint, the plucky Kiwi was last of the finishers in the Grand Prix and now hands his car back to Danny One-Hand Ricciardo. Mind you, Yuki Tsunoda was only 2 places up the road. Has this blotted Lawson's copybook and his aims to get an F1 seat next year?
Maybe slightly, but probably I think it'd be. He's had 3 really good races and one that was like, it wasn't that great. But it wasn't awful. I mean, he was last, but he didn't crash. I think overall...
Do we know what's happening to him next year?
Not at the moment. If I was a betting man, which I'm not, I would probably put £3 on him going to Williams to replace Logan Sargent. But I've not heard any evidence that that's actually happening. But it would seem to make sense, surely.
Well, I don't think Logan Sargent's going to complain much, is he, when he's too busy hurling into a bucket?
No, I think Lawson has done a really, really good job. Like, of all the stand-ins we've had of late, admittedly he's had 4 races to do it, but from the off he's been really good. I think he's absolutely excelled himself. And okay, this one wasn't great, but he's only done 4 races, and this was horrible conditions. I think he's done really well, and it would be a shame if he's not in F1 next year.
Agreed.
Alfa Romeo. Poor Alfa Romeo. Both Valtteri Bottas and Zhou Guanyu got a fistful of points by finishing in 8th and 9th, and yet we still didn't notice them. Did you?
When I was writing this up, I was like, did one of them retire? They must have been down the back. Oh no, they were both in the points. I did not notice.
I don't even see Alfa Romeo when they're mentioned by the commentary. It's like... There was a bit where I think Bottas went back out onto the track and they were like, oh, there's Bottas. And I was just like watching it and it was like a magic eye picture. It's just like going, I can't see it.
It's just an empty piece of track. What's going on?
Yeah.
It's like in...
You've got to kind of squint and relax your eyes and go cross-eyed.
It's like in Westworld where if you're a robot you can't see things that are bad or something. I can't remember the details. It was years ago. And they just go, it doesn't look like much like anything to me. Maybe that's what Alfa Romeo are all robots. Or we're all robots.
Haas. Nico Hülkenberg sparkled in qualifying, got sandwiched by Ocon and Perez in the sprint, and then fucked up hilariously by pretending to be Carlos Sainz in the race, which gave him a massive penalty. Magnussen was slow and finished near the back, but still ahead of Hülkenberg.
That was very funny. Did you see that?
This is the thing is, I used to be, back in my younger days, more like, I'd be better than any F1 driver. If I was a Formula 1 driver, I'd be fucking great, but I never got the chances because I didn't have money or skill or ever tried. But the older I get, the more I think of, if I was a Formula 1 driver, that is exactly the sort of thing I'd do. I would definitely drive into the road pit box, even though I'd just been on the grid for like an hour.
For anyone who didn't see it, so there was obviously an empty space on the grid where Carlos Sainz should have been because his car broke down. And so, yeah, as Terry said, they lined up on the thing, they've all got their car ready, and surely Hülkenberg was sitting there going, there's no car in front of me, there's no car in front of me, there's no car in front of me. And they go and do the formation lap, he comes back in and he sails straight on into Sainz's place. And then you can see him on the onboard camera looking around going, fuck, I've messed this up.
It is odd, though, that you don't just all get to bunch up. I still don't understand why it makes more sense to leave a blank spot.
Because he didn't qualify in 8th, he qualified in 9th. So how could he start?
Well, it wasn't even that. It's two spots he nicked, wasn't it? Because if he'd gone one, he'd have gone the other side of the grid. As it was, he just went straight on from his original spot, past the guy that was slightly ahead of him to his left, and ended up a slot in front of him.
True.
Oh, I didn't realise that. I thought he literally went at once. So he did. He jumped.
No,
I
I think he literally just funneled into the space that was in front of where he should have been.
Oh, so he did actually.
Because the guy in front of him was in the right place, so he jumped 2 spots. And
so he started ahead of someone that he shouldn't have.
Yeah, because I think he was looking, going,
So
why has he stopped there? Oh, bollocks. So he clearly knew.
So who was behind him?
Oh, I don't know.
Presumably they got a bit of an advantage by not having someone directly in front of them, so they had a bit of a gap to go into.
Yeah,
Oh wait, but hang on, that's a good point. So everyone else left the gap behind him, because that would really fuck me up if Hulkenberg.
Everyone else was in the correct spot.
But no, if Hulkenberg drove up and then there was a gap behind Hulkenberg, that means that someone else had to not drive into that gap. Surely.
Didn't they used to have markers on the wall as to where like their front wheels should be, so that it was easier for them to make sure they got in the right place?
They've got lines, yellow lines.
But didn't they
coming
used
out
to
the
literally have
sides
team
of the box.
members with their like number and stuff? Have I imagined that? I
so,
could have sworn
back
they
in
used
the
to do
day.
that or something, but maybe they don't do that anymore. But you'd think that his engineer would have said, just as a reminder, leave that space in front of you blank, because that's not yours.
And then he'd have gone, oh, ha, 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 and then done it.
It would have been Logan Sargent. Oh, no, it would have been Lance Stroll.
Oh,
Directly
better
behind
off
him.
it, isn't it? He was on his face.
It would have been funny if he completely knackered the entire rest of the grid and they'd all just blindly followed him and then they all get penalties.
Because could
But
you
it didn't
argue?
Yeah, that would have been what happened.
Yeah. Well done, everyone else.
But yeah, he would have driven past, Alexander Albon.
Yeah, that must have been
just overtaken
and
him.
was just sitting there going,
Grid.
why is Albon behind me now?
Okay, well that does explain the really big penalty, because he did literally cheat to start. It wasn't just like, because Drew, I agree mainly, because like if he's 8th but there's a gap in front of him and he drives into that gap, he's still 8th, so it doesn't really matter.
He should have just gone the whole hog. If it's
Yeah.
only a 10-place penalty, a 10-second penalty, he should have gone the whole hog. Just gone right up and just sandwiched himself between the front 2 drivers and just gone, right,
That's what I used to
let's
do on the
go.
Formula-
It gets to a point that
I used to do that on the Formula 1 game. If
Yeah.
you just kind of ignore the lights and go, if you get enough of a lead, the penalty doesn't matter.
This is it.
Yeah.
Missed a trick there.
Except I was...
worth looking into.
Yeah.
Williams. Logan Sargent was too poorly to finish the race, but someone who isn't too poorly to give us a team report is Don Janacek.
Young Mr. Sargent stayed at the back of the field for the majority of the race and decided to end the race early on lap 42 due to illness. Albon actually got to lead the race on lap 18 because that was the last lap that Verstappen had to do on one set of tires before he was forced to box. Alex ended in 13th, but a Williams led a Grand Prix, which is a phrase I don't think anybody expected to ever say again.
Maybe that was the whole aim of the weekend. It's like, let's stay out as long as we can, even if it means we get black flagged for staying out too long on illegal tyres, and let's lead the race.
Yeah. I want to go back to the Logan Sargent business, because I think this is really an issue for where Formula 1 drivers now are so young and they have no life experience. They can't understand basic instructions. Now, the team said to him, it's your decision. You do what you need to do what's best for you. We're behind you. We're not going to make you carry on. You look after yourself. And anyone who's been in a long-term relationship means that that's bollocks. Someone says, no, you do what you think is right, hey? What do you do what you want for a change, yeah? So, if he was older and
he's in deep trouble now.
Yeah, he's fucked. He won't be at the next race. And they're going to be calling him Pukey Sergeant behind his back. Oh, here comes old Pukey. Oh, yeah, not good enough for you, mate, is it? Oh, do you want to sit down, do you? Oh, you're not feeling well. Do you want a cup of tea? You want some Horlicks? Oh, you little cunt.
Everybody in the paddock's just going to go "Bleh," as they walk past him.
Feeling peak? Oh, they're yes. I can't think of anything funny to say because I'm tired. But yes.
You're listening to For Formula One's Sake.
So can we start this podcast? I don't feel well.
Okay, well, while we're dragging up stuff before we get into the standings, I had a question that I wanted to know what you guys thought of, because I remember them having an excuse back in the day that the reason that they didn't want to give out points for qualifying was that they never wanted a circumstance where someone would be made champion on the Saturday rather than on the race on the Sunday. And that seems to now completely gone out the window because there's points on the sprint.
Well, it's also bollocks anyway.
What's the deal?
It's also bollocks anyway because there have been fact time. Get your fact button ready. Verstappen is the 6th driver to have become champion on a Saturday. The others being, he says, trying to remember, Nelson Piquet twice won on Saturdays because sometimes races were on Saturdays. I think he won at the Las Vegas Grand Prix in 81.
Oh, fuck off.
Okay. That
Okay.
was on a Saturday. The British Grand Prix for years was on a Saturday until like 1977. That Graham Hill won his title on the first title on a Saturday. Actually, as a side fact, double fact, Nelson Piquet won 3 titles and he didn't win any of them on a Sunday because he won his only title that wasn't on a Saturday on a Friday because his only rival, Nigel Mansell, had a big crash in qualifying, which then was on a Friday for some reason, and couldn't take part, which meant that he was champion.
Japan 1987.
Okay, fair enough. But I think the point being that being an outlier outside of anyone's control, and on a Sunday meaning on race day.
It was
So
a race of
you've given an
sorts.
example where it didn't happen on race day. So my question would be that would it not be better that you can win points on qualifying and you can win points on the sprint, but they don't actually get applied unless you finish in the points on the race day?
Wow. I mean, that just seems overly complicated in an already overly complicated system.
I love it.
So it's like you bank them, but you don't get to claim them so that way all the points are awarded on the race day, but you've got the potential, like multipliers, to get them more points.
You bank them like a sort of a lunchtime quiz
No,
show.
they can only get it if
You
they
have to
answer-
drive race like 3rd place, bank.
No, they only get the points if on the post-race interview they answer a general knowledge question.
They have Richard Osman there. Just
Or Bradley Walsh, I think.
Yes, exactly.
It's the top 3 drivers play a game of Snap for ultimate win.
Incidentally,
Golden Balls, Cheryl Shaft.
beg your pardon.
Jasper Carroll.
Who's Cheryl Shaft?
Cheryl Shaft. Oh, lovely woman.
Incidentally, 3 of the races next year, and there are, I think, 29 races next year or something like that. 3 of the races next year are on a Saturday. Not sprint races, actual Grand Prix.
What?
One of them
Why?
is on a Saturday this year. Fact.
What are you
The
talking
Las
about?
Vegas race. The Las Vegas race this year and next year is on a Saturday night local time.
What, so it can be Sunday here?
It'll be Sunday morning here at like Supercook. So yeah, I looked up the Vegas race and it's on at like 6 in the morning or something ridiculous because it's on late over there. But yeah, the 2 Middle Eastern races next year, so Bahrain and Saudi, are both on Saturday because it's Ramadan and that has implications for some reason. So Saturday's where it's at. Saturday night's all right for racing.
Wednesday.
All of which takes us to the standings with Terry Saunders.
Okay, so Max Verstappen won the championship. I'm a big fan of Queen. Here's all the drivers if there are Queen songs. We Are the Champions is number 1, Max Verstappen. Number 2, Under Pressure, Sergio Perez. Number 3, Hammer Time to Fall. It's the decline of Lewis Hamilton. Number 4, Good Old Fashioned Lover Boy. It's Fernando Alonso. Emphasis on the old. Don't start me now. It's Carlos Sainz who didn't start the race. I want to break free of this Ferrari contract, says Charles Leclerc. I want it all, says Lando Norris. You're my best friend, says George Russell to Lewis Hamilton. Doesn't mean it. A Kind of Magic is Oscar Piastri. Death on 2 legs is Lance Stroll because he was feeling quite ill. Love of my life, Pierre Gasly, because I still can't remember whether it's Gasly or Ocon who ended up with the girl. Too much puke will kill you. It's Esteban Ocon. Tie your mother down or she'll kill again. It's Alexander Albon. Who wants to live forever? It's Valtteri Bottas. It's a hard life is Nico Hulkenberg. God save the Queen is Joe Granu. I'm in love with my car is Yuki Tsunoda. Dreamer's bald. He can suck is Kevin Magnussen. And thank God it's Christmas. It's Liam Lawson. And still with Queen, if each team was the lead singer of Queen, which era would they be? Number 1, Red Bull, obviously they'd be Freddie Mercury. Number 2 is Mercedes, they'd be when George Michael sang with Elton John that time. The guy from Prix is Ferrari, Adam Lambert is Aston Martin, and then I've run out of actual people who've sang with Queen, so I'm going to start making some up. Robbie Williams is McLaren, Gerard Depardieu is Alpine, that old bloke from Steptoe & Son is Williams, David Brent is Alfa Romeo, Robert Dick is and I would be AlphaTauri.
Frankly, I can't wait for your AlphaTauri themed Queen show. That sounds amazing.
I love Queen. Except I hate Queen after Freddie Mercury died. And I hate Roger Taylor and Brian May. I think they are terrible people. And let's never forget that Brian May, at the Freddie Mercury tribute concert, where his so-called friend died after his so-called friend had died of AIDS, sang the song "Too Much Love Will Kill You"? You fucking cunt.
John Deacon, though, he just fucked off, didn't he?
John
He's not
Deacon's
doing
my
it anymore.
fucking hero because he literally said, I'm not having any of this. Fucked off.
He just cashes checks and plays golf. It's awesome.
Favourite drink? Tea. If you ever had the Greatest Flicks video collection, they had a little profile of each member at the start, and it was like Freddie Mercury, favourite drink, champagne. John Deacon, favourite drink, tea. I'm genuinely a
Man of
huge
the people.
Queen fan. Sorry.
And now, the man of the match of driving.
Esteban Ocon.
Oscar Piastri.
George Russell. And now it's time for the State of F1 with Terry Saunders.
I've always advocated for violence in F1, fights and punches and a bit of flair, and with the return of Big Brother, I would like to remind you all that my idea to make them all live in a 24/7 film Big Brother style house throughout the season could really help expose their weaknesses. Basically, I really want to make the drivers suffer both physically and emotionally. But in this echo chamber age of social media and everyone just digging into their own opinions, I'm happy to be adult enough to say that after the events of the Qatar Grand Prix, I was very wrong. As really, I wasn't ambitious enough. The cars are too reliable these days, and most races end as you'd expect. So Qatar proved the weakest link of F1 is clearly the driver's emotional and physical well-being. And even though I'm sure Logan Sargent felt very, very ill, it was, nevertheless, quite entertaining to see him, easily the worst driver on the grid, also be the weakest, QN Robinson. Ocon threw up in his helmet, Alonso got his bum burnt, and Lance Stroll says he was passing out in the corners. And although I don't want any harm to come to the drivers, this was great. Let's face it, with social media, Netflix and F1 games, the drivers don't seem like real people anymore, but more like avatars and brands. So therefore, I feel fine wishing them a modicum of harm. Don't worry, I have a solution. So I think in the next 2026 rule change, there can be a few more things to spice up the races. 1. Fill one driver's water bottle with salty water. 2. Finally use F1 car radiators for their intended purpose of keeping their bums warm, and if Max Verstappen is a minute ahead, turn up the heat. 3. Redesign the helmet so there's a receptacle area with a gauge for how much sick has been ejected. Amazon can use it to make a nice graphic, and whoever hurls the most and still finishes the race gets a point. And number 4, be Sergio Perez. That's got to be the toughest of all. The end.
That's it from us. It's goodbye to Phil Tromans.
Goodbye. We haven't had time to talk about the latest driver to drive in a practice session this week, who was Ollie Bearman, who is not a bear or a man. No, wait, he is a man.
And that's why he
Remember
wasn't doing the podcast this week.
And to Terry Saunders.
We haven't had time to talk about the cool-down room, which was basically like 3 school kids sniggering in detention. And then at one point, what did Max Verstappen say? Someone said something about Lewis and Russell crashing, and he said, we call that a dirty tango.
Wasn't that the name of one of Sebastian Vettel's cars?
I don't know, but when he says we, does he mean him and his dad? And if that is, I don't want to know what a dirty tango is. But we haven't got time to talk about it.
We'll be back in a minute to discuss the United States Grand Prix 2 Electric Boogaloo in Austin. In the meantime, check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/for F1's sake, and follow us on Twitter @for F1's sake. Terry, where can people buy merch?
ff1s.com/shop, but 3.
Thanks for listening. Once again, I've been Drew Stearne. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you, Drew. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Thanks, Drew. Bye.